Let me start off this video report by wishing you all a happy and healthy 2026. May it be far better than 2025 for all of you. And listen, let's also wish that it can be a prosperous and profitable new year too. A little luck along the way and making a little money. Nothing ever hurt, right? We can wish for that too. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here, General Manager of DeMarcoSports.com. But you kind of knew that because you clicked on the video to watch it. And this, of course, is going to be your January 1 report. Listen, my best bet today happens to be the Rose Bowl game between Indiana and Alabama. But the other two College Bowl games today, those are the ones I'm going to break down here on the video report. It has been an interesting week. I mean, Sunday I cashed in with 15-dime best bet on the Bengals. Monday, a 15-dime best bet on the Bucks. Tuesday, a couple of firsts in my life. And I've been doing this long before I started this website 24 years ago, long before that started betting. I had a wager on New Hampshire. Now, listen, I've always said that you can't bet on a team unless you know their nickname. I didn't know who the hell New Hampshire was. They're the Wildcats, by the way. Never in my life had I ever bet on a 30.5 point underdog. Oh, I've bet on some 30.5 point favorites and won. Never a 30.5 point underdog. But I was feeling pretty good when New Hampshire, a 30.5 point dog, was only down by 4 points at Nebraska until they scored only 17 points in the second half and they lost by 31 points. How? I mean, what did I do to the gambling gods? I pissed them off. I mean, clearly I did something to them again. So yesterday, when among the games, I'm breaking down the bowl games yesterday, and it's the Las Vegas Bowl. And I loved Utah, a 14.5 point favorite over, you guessed it, Nebraska. And I figured, the Cornhuskers owe me one. And thankfully, they lost by 22. So I feel better. All things are good in the world. Ending the year on the winner, and let's start off with another one today. Okay, let's get busy and let's talk about these bowl games. I'm going to talk about the late game first between Georgia and Ole Miss at the Superdome, the Sugar Bowl. Georgia's 6.5 point favorite over Ole Miss. Now, this is a rematch. These two played between the hedges. I've been there many times when I lived in Atlanta for 9 years. Georgia won that game 43-35 back in the middle of October. Interesting game. Those two teams combined for, I mean, it was 861 total yards, but Georgia had that game in hand there. Georgia never punted in that game, but Georgia had the rally in the fourth quarter. There was 17 unanswered points to put the game away. 510 total yards. They held Ole Miss to a season low 351 yards. Now you've got Kirby Smith going into the postseason where he's 9-3 straight up lifetime. This is a guy who's got his team playing its best defense of the season here down the home stretch. I'm not going to go into all the bit with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, blah, blah, blah. Everything going on there. But I was really impressed with how Georgia closed so strong. 35-10 over Texas, 16-9 over Georgia Tech, 28-7 over Alabama in the SEC championship game. Three pretty good, damn good teams, especially Alabama and Texas. And their defense definitely peaked as the season wound down. And, I look at Ole Miss and I don't see a team that really played that well in spurts this year offensively, but defensively, not at all. And I don't think this is a bad price to lay with Georgia, minus the 6.5. So I'm going to go with Georgia here, a team that I think is peaking at the right time. And I'm going to take the Bulldogs minus the 6.5 points to win their seventh straight game here and to get the cover as well. And of course, at 6.5 points, I'm going to buy down the half point here if the line is between 6 and 7.5, as I always encourage you to do. Now, on the early card, you've got the noon kickoff game, the Orange Bowl, of course, in Miami, between Oregon and Texas Tech. I can see why so many people are betting on Oregon, and they're saying, oh, Oregon comes from the better conference, the Big Ten versus the Big 12. But let me ask you something. Who the hell did Oregon really play this year that was that good? I mean, seriously, who did they play? On the road, they played Iowa, Indiana. I mean, and they lost at home to Indiana, right? Who did they play? USC at home, Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern. Penn State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Minnesota, then James Madison in their playoff game. So let's bash Texas Tech for playing BYU twice and, playing in the Big 12. But again, this is not a killer schedule that Oregon faced this year. And, I look at Oregon and then I also look at how the Ducks performed outside of Eugene. On a road, they were a different team. Struggled to a 6-point win at Penn State, struggled to a 2-point win at Iowa, didn't play their best in a 12-point win at Washington. These things are concerning. You look at this Texas Tech defense, and it's the best defense money can buy. I mean, I've joked about this a number of times when backing the Red Raiders this year, including as a big play, and both times they took on BYU. This defense, number one in the nation in terms of uh, points allowed and yards per carry. And rushing defense, giving up 68 yards a game and yards per carry, 2.3 yards per carry. So I know Oregon's going to try to establish the run, but will they be successful here? This is a team that's tied for sixth this year in sacks with that defensive end, David Bailey, 13 and a half of them. Now, am I a little concerned that Texas Tech last played on December 6th? A little bit, yes. But again, I think that this is a Texas Tech team that only lost one game this entire season. And that was when their starting quarterback Morton didn't play and lost to Arizona State. And I think the thing that people overlook about Texas Tech is, yes, they've got Morton, a guy who had a great year statistically. I mean, 72%, or let me just double check here. I just want to look up what his final numbers were. 67% completions, right? Over 2,600 yards, 22 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. But what people don't realize about Texas Tech, and when backing them numerous times this year, is the strong 1-2 punch they have at running back. Cameron Dickey, almost 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. And then Jacoby Williams, 787 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and another 6 scores. So they are going to try to establish the run here, and I think they have an excellent chance to be successful. Now, I know Oregon has a strong defense as well, and Oregon is good against the run too. But the onus is going to be on Dante Moore, who's had a very strong season, over 3,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns. But again, the Ducks have been a different team on the road. So I have no problem taking Texas plus the 2.5. Again, I'm buying up the half point in this situation. If the line is between 2.5 and 4, I'm buying up the half point on the Red Raiders. And I like Texas Tech in this spot. Now, of the two games, which one do I like more? Boy, it's like picking between, if you had two children, which one do you like least or more? Um, I would say I would give a slight, and I mean a slight, nod to Georgia, but they're damn close in terms of the how much I like both of these teams. And again, I just don't think Oregon will play that well. It's a road game for both teams. I realize that because it's a neutral site game in Miami, but I'll give a slight nod to Georgia because of Kirby Smart's pedigree in the postseason, and go with the Bulldogs as my number one play and Texas Tech as number two. Good luck, everybody, and talk to you again soon. And may this January 1 be a good one for you. Good luck.